Hi, Davi here from Figure 8 Energy, or on Instagram, We Light Beans. And today I want to talk about self-love. Because what is self-love? There are so many definitions out there because it's a newer concept, right? It's a newer concept of something that we should be doing all along. And it's a little confusing when you hear it and you're like, okay, how do I love myself? And I feel like what society tries to tell us is how you do self-love is to tap into the consumer mindset and confuse love with the romanticism that comes with that segment of our society, right? So it's like, oh, self-love is buying all these fancy concoctions and giving myself a bath, or self-love is going to the store and buying myself this new dress thing because if I wear it, it'll make me look good for all of these other reasons. But I want to talk to a deeper level of self-love, and it's the self-love in your mind, this little thing right here, your brain, the mental. It's like addressing self-love from a point of how you talk to yourself. You know, do you find yourself harder on you than you would be on other people? Like, say somebody else made a mistake on something and you're just like, oh no, it's completely okay, like I completely understand and whatever. But if you made that same mistake, would you also be like, oh yeah, it's okay, I completely understand, it already happened, let's go and move forward, right? No. I mean, yes, hopefully the answer is yes. But for a majority of people, I feel like the answer is a little iffy on that certainty of, yes, I absolutely talk to myself the way I talk to other people, you know. And I feel like one of the reasons why I want to talk about self-love is my mission here is to elevate frequency. And the only way we can really elevate in a sustainable way is if we're all being our true authentic self. And we can only be our true authentic self if we love ourselves enough to allow ourselves to do that. And certain ways that we hold ourselves back is if you say you make a mistake and you go and do something, are you holding you're holding a grudge on yourself for having that and telling yourself all of these negative things that, like, why would you do that? No, like a better way if you want to focus on elevating your frequency and feeling good is to be like, whoa, I acknowledge that happened and I did that, or I had this reaction, and I'm just gonna choose to do better from now on going forward, you know. And it's something very like duh, right? It sounds pretty simple, like we can just do this, but we have a lot of things at play that prevent us from that easy measurement of, you know, just allowing ourselves to make mistakes. And some of it has to do with whatever situation that we're in, or whatever pattern that you find yourself going through the cycles of. When something comes up and you realize, like, oh, this is a pattern, this has happened before, it would be a good idea to take a bird's eye approach to it and wonder to yourself, this cycle that I'm going through, this thing that's happening right now, is it happening because I want it to happen? Like, or am I going through cycles of somebody else's life? Like, typically it's a generational thing, so it'll be like something that your parents or your grandparents had an issue with, and now you're existing in your reality and you're having that same issue and you're just playing it out in your own thing. Like, that is a generational pattern that is passed on because it's a program, right? You were programmed with it at birth, whether it's something that you visually intook and saw and programmed it, or if it was a genetic thing. I'm not going to get into the next part of what I was going to say about that. The thing is, like, whenever you do realize that it is a program of sorts, you can ask yourself, okay, like, if this is something that's happened in my family over and over again, and now it's happening in my life, do I want to play out the cycle and heal it for my bloodline, or do I want to just like not engage with it at all and still break the chain for your bloodline, for the rest of your ancestry, because you choose not to play a part of it? And, you know, take each situation for what it's worth. There's some generational things that are passed on for you to heal, and it'll be so healing for the rest of your ancestry and be able to being brought forward as a bit of wisdom. And So that's one of the benefits of continuing on some of your ancestral karmas. And the other things that you let go, like that is your free will, right? You are choosing not to bring that forward because you don't want it to exist in your being or into your children's being, because we also get to choose that. And it's not just things that are passed on, like maybe in our own karmic lifetime, things we recognize a cycle within ourselves, and we want to heal it so we don't pass it on to our children, so our children don't have to do that. And that's one of the really cool things about being here and now in this day and age, is like we have more studies around it, we have more people talking and sharing about it because we have technology and the information is getting out there so quickly. So this is going to be more of a common theme going forward, and even for our children's generation, being able to navigate different things and really take charge of your life. And so when I'm talking about going through these programs and how that comes back to self-love, is like, what do you want to do? Are you just going to solve this ancestral thing because you feel like you need to? Or is the higher being in you telling you, like, yeah, this is another greater aspect of me that I can heal and radiate out going forward? Or you can just choose to, like, no, that's not me. I choose a different timeline, and you can divert on the path. I just looked at my notes and I saw this little bit on love and how the Hare Krishna see it is love is connection, right? So it's your connection with yourself, it's your connection with the different plants and animals and all of the different beings. And I'm wondering what the connection is that you have with your higher self, you know, the self that can see everything and help you navigate without being trapped in this human vessel that has like all these external things coming at it. It's like, what is your connection with your higher self? Because your higher self always has the answer. If you are in a situation you're like, I really don't know what to do, and a lot of times people who are like yes people, who they'll like say yes to a certain situation without like really checking in with their higher self and be like, but do I actually want to do this, or I'm just going to say yes to people please? And so having a connection with your higher self is really important for self-love as well. And you know, when we're checking in with ourselves, right, we can navigate whatever situation that we're going through and choose what we want to bring from it, how we want to interact with it, how we want to react, or how we want to not react. Because there's also power in staying neutral and not choosing the high road or the low road or anything, and not to perpetuate any sort of karma out. And I think that's something really important for us to acknowledge in the care of ourselves, is like, we get to choose how we want to feel. Sure, certain circumstances may come up and their forces may try to get you to tap into one certain type of frequency for whatever reason. It's like, you can choose, like, you have the free will to either engage with it and feel into that, or you can choose a higher frequency, a frequency that feels good, like whatever that is for you. Some people just, you know, want to be in a really fiery, high, amped up energy, and you can tap into that. You can choose to be that. Some people want to be like peaceful, and some others moderate energy, and you know, with feelings, it's just like kind of limitless. But it's all of our choice. You know, that's one of the powers of not engaging in certain situations, because not necessarily you care one way or another. Like, you have the choice to not care at all. I know that's a little bit difficult when it comes to forces coming at you, and this is what you'll try to notice. I don't want to make it sound like you need to be in victim mentality and like there's going to be all of this energy coming at you and you have to protect yourself or anything. It's just, once you start tapping into yourself and start seeing how there's so many programs around us and how you get to make a choice for each one of these programs or not become involved at all, you'll realize that you have a lot of choices and a lot of decisions to make, and there's no right or wrong answer in how you navigate it, because you could be meant to learn something from a certain path. And I think just like the bigger message is, when it comes to self-care and self-love, it's like giving yourself maybe a balanced amount of lessons and bliss, you know. Giving yourself rest when you are navigating everything that's going on, making all these decisions, because it can get overwhelming. And your highest self operates best when your vessel is functioning well, you know. So when you're feeling good, when you're well maintained, I should say. Another thing to think about is, you know, the way that you talk to yourself. If you tend to be harder on yourself and talk down to yourself, there's a chance that that's reflecting on your external. You know, like, I would wonder about the folks who talk bad to themselves, how they view other people. The song is like, it's sad to say this is so, because it is sad to think that because we have certain traumas that we may not be aware of, and we could talk down to ourselves, that we are also maybe looking out on other people with a little bit of judgment. When, you know, like, love is that connection. We should just love others and ourselves, and give ourselves as much grace as we give other people, and then we'll just be radiating out love. And like, that's a great thing to radiate out. You know, it's like you give yourself the love that you wish to receive, and in turn you were just like this ball, this beaming light beam of love. Today my mental thoughts aren't flowing with as much weight or enthusiasm, and it's not because I don't have this message to share with y'all. It's because I'm reflecting on the same time how I'm loving myself right now, you know, like, as I'm saying all this, and seeing how all of the different insights that I give to y'all are things that I've applied to my life, and to be in the frequency that I'm in right now after applying all of these learnings and discovering what self-love was for myself. You know, I realized that self-love was more than just making sure I get up in the rising early enough and do enough yoga and energy work so I can take on the demands of the day. It's like, no, nowadays I still have an energy budget, right? I'm still measuring things out, but I'm not putting so many things in my day that cause me the need to have to set so much time aside for that physical self-care, and doing it in more of a way where it feels balanced. And when the scales tip a little bit and I'm giving out too much energy, I make sure I give myself the grace of enough time to pull my energy back and pour into myself. I feel like a lot of people who go through the healing themselves and then in turn want to teach it to other people, there's so much enthusiasm about sharing what it is that we have discovered, because, you know, that very pure desire to want to help others elevate and feel in a similar way to you. You can and it's possible to fall into a martyr role, and I fell into that martyr role back when I had a restaurant, right? For those of you who've known me for a bit, like, I had a vegan food truck for a year, and then I had a vegan restaurant for like a little over 3 years after that. And I felt so aligned in sharing with the community the things I had to offer that I would sometimes just go overboard and pour so much energy into it in a way that wasn't sustainable for me, where I felt like I was very much like, well, this is just my life. I'm just like doing all this because it'll make a really beautiful ripple and it feels good while I'm doing it. But yeah, there's more to it than this human experience than just being all full force mission, because you also have a mission to yourself as well, and a contract with the vessel that you're in too. And you are meant to be experiencing life, and not just doing all of the time. And so finding that balance is another measure of self-care. And as I'm reflecting on how it's existing in my life right now, I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling grateful, and the energies that come through, I let them come through, and I can look at them and navigate and feel what I want to feel, or feel certain things for a moment of time, but then allow myself enough time to process it too. I don't know, there's so many different ways that you can go about loving yourself based off of what your desires are and how you truly feel the best in your being, So, with the energy of the day, I pray that you feel called to tap into yourself and ask yourself, what is it you really need to love yourself even more? What are you able to do at this time? Is there an energy budget that you could propose to yourself? Is there maybe a certain phrase you want to stop telling yourself? You can do it. Give yourself grace. Give yourself a nice hug. Allow yourself to be happy, to be okay. Give yourself the opportunity to heal and move on and move forward. You deserve it just as much as anybody else. Why would you be harder on yourself? You're doing great. You're doing great.